Ignite your best life. Yoga is the spark.
You're listening to Brett Larkin on the podcast where we use yoga to ignite your dream life.
Always be stretching your body, your mind, your spirit. When you come to your mat, your movement fuels your motivation. You channel your inner power. You achieve your goals.
Want to deepen your yoga practice and blossom into your best self on and off the mat? Join Brett in her membership community Uplifted for monthly training plans, personalized feedback on your yoga poses, member-only videos, and the ability to download classes across every device.
I'm Brett Larkin. I want to help you ignite your best life through the power of yoga.
Try it free at brettlarkin.com/uplifted. Get inspired today.
Hello, I'm Brett Larkin, and welcome to this episode. I'm in a super uplifted mood because I just got actually off one of our Uplifted member live calls just a few moments ago and got super inspired and wanted to record this podcast. So if you're not a member of Uplifted, check it out. But we're able to talk a lot about behind the scenes and actually how, I come in and out of poses a little differently on camera than I do in my personal practice, and just really cool stuff like that. And again, if you are a member, I'm so grateful for you in our community. I never thought I would find a group of hundreds of people now who want to talk about the nuances of yoga and how it can help us stretch into our best self on and off the mat as much as I have. It's absolutely shocking to me. So thank you all so much. And even if you're just a listener, thank you for listening. So what I wanted to address in this podcast is, a little bit about teaching and teacher training, and a question that was actually sent to me on Facebook, which was about someone wrote in who said that they had, a history of PTSD and they were considering yoga teacher training, but they often felt that they weren't fully grounded in their body, and that sometimes when they were doing a yoga class, so this is a great podcast to listen to if you maybe also experience, when you're in a yoga class, your thoughts maybe go elsewhere, and it's like my voice brings you back to your body, or my cues brings you back into the pose. This is really, really common, whether you've had PTSD or other past trauma issues or not, right? Sometimes we're just really distracted and it's hard to be present in our body, and it's hard to stay present in a pose. We start thinking about other things. Or again, there could be trauma in the body in the case of PTSD or other things, right? Where it's scary to be fully present in the body in certain areas. So whether you're someone who just kind of has a monkey mind, I know that's for sure me, or someone with past stress or trauma, I really want to share with you that, becoming a yoga teacher is not about being perfect. And yoga teacher training is a journey. It's sort of like going to liberal arts college. It's not like you go to college and a liberal arts college and have a very specific job that you're going to take in mind at the end of college. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but right, it usually changes. You go for the experience of going to college, right? To grow up and, to learn and figure stuff out about yourself. And yoga teacher training is very much that same way. And that it is the best way to deepen your practice and I think get more in touch with you as who you are as a person and what you care about. It's not about having to be a perfect teacher when you graduate. And some of you might be considering yoga teacher training or going into it and you want to teach, or you want to own a studio. Some of you have already signed up for my training, have told me that that's a dream of yours, and that's awesome. But if you're someone who you're not signing up for teacher training because you're worried, and I'll talk about being in your body more in just a moment as it relates more generally to yoga, but please do not let the fact that you think you won't be able to teach, or that because you have a injury or a limitation that's going to hold you back, because that's actually the population that really needs you to do teacher training so you can one day potentially serve them, right? So whatever you're struggling with, that's your big opportunity to serve others when you, I don't want to say conquer, but when you get intimate with that struggle. Everything that I teach on the podcast, on YouTube, on Uplifted, is all the things I'm constantly reminding and telling myself, right? As a type A overachiever, trying to reform and be a really yogic present person, right? I'm teaching all the things I tell myself. So When I took yoga teacher training, and many of you guys know this story, is I had no intention of teaching. I was just doing it to deepen my practice, and here I am now. I'm a teacher in like the biggest sense of the word, publicly, online, in my private life, in my public life, right? So you really never really know where the journey is going to take you. Some of you might like go into it being like, I'm 100% going to teach and I know it, and you finish yoga teacher training and all this other stuff comes up and you realize that you actually don't want to teach, or that's not the thing that's most important. So it's a discovery, it's a process. And so to the person who asked, that specific question about, not being able to really be fully present in your body, and will that make you not a good teacher? Well, if you have zero body awareness, you probably aren't going to be an awesome yoga teacher. But if you're even asking that question and you're aware that you're sort of not present in certain poses where you feel like you should be, that's a huge awareness right there. And, kudos to you for even realizing that and thinking about it. And it already shows me that you're going to be an incredibly thoughtful teacher, and that it's not about everyone having to experience their body in the same way. Like your experience of your body internally compared to mine is going to be so different. You're going to reach and connect with an audience and a group of people, if you choose to teach, that'll be unique and different than even the people I connect with, right? It's all fluid, and yoga teacher training is really this exploration more than it is like about being a good, quote unquote, whatever that means, teacher at the end. And I say like good, quote unquote, teacher because there's so many different kinds of teachers out there. There's so many different styles of yoga. Another thing that came up on our private member call today was, stuff about alignment, and where, people have heard different cues. Maybe you guys have gone to a yoga class and you've heard the teacher, the example we use in our call is the teacher instructs warrior one with the heel to heel alignment. So you have a very narrow stance. And technically in Ashtanga, that's the way you're supposed to teach it. But that's not the way I teach it because that's very hard to balance. And Ashtanga was designed for 12-year-old boys to do, many, many years ago when yoga was only done by men. Women anatomically have wider hips than men. After childbirth, they have even wider hips, right? Like I am really about adjusting the body for each individual who's in front of me and to make yoga really accessible to people. But there are people who would say that I am teaching wrong by instructing that, the feet can be hip width apart in Warrior One, when the strict text, or if you look at BKS Iyengar, he says it's heel to heel. So you need to really figure out what matters to you and what you believe, and then study with a teacher who matches your belief system, right? Or who resonates with you. And that might be me and it might be someone else. But do not do yoga teacher training because it's just like a convenient time, or you have a month off and it's like, again, convenient. I'd really think about who you study with. It's really going to dictate your whole experience. And if you want more tips on just choosing to do yoga teacher training or not, you can go to brettlarkin.com/YTT for yoga teacher training, brettlarkin.com/YTT, and get a free video with all my tips about how to choose a training. And if you're interested in training with me specifically, enrollment is open to the public now as opposed to just the membership group. And you can get details on that at brettlarkin.com/train. The big point I want to make here, and this, definitely could sound annoying, but where you are right now is perfect. If the experience you're having right now is that you feel like you're not as connected with your body as you should be, or you're worried some things from your past are holding you back, or you're, concerned, worried, whatever it is, you're actually in the perfect place right now. The yoga practice is teaching us that the current moment is the perfect moment. So instead of wishing things were different, or wishing, projecting into the future, right? Hoping that things will be different, or thinking about the past, wishing that something didn't happen, or whatever it is, the current moment with all its weaknesses is your strength. Like that is the big message. So like if you are someone like the person who wrote in and you have this background, or you have PTSD, or you're worried you're not as connected to your body through yoga as you should be in order to be an effective teacher, like that's your gift. That's why you need to, if you're called to, do teacher training and sort of hopefully heal that for yourself, and then have this incredible, powerful intelligence to help heal and assist it in others. right? So just like for me, when I was very stressed and very type A and very running around and very crazy, I could use that same logic, right? Like, I'm way too type A to ever be a good yoga teacher. But I think those of you who do class with me, like, that part of my personality doesn't shine through at all when I teach. It definitely shines through when I'm, like chatting with you guys on a live call or conducting a workshop or reviewing each other's poses in Uplifted. It's a different energy. But, if I had just said, oh, I'm too type A, I'm too, sort of high energy to be a yoga teacher, and I just never pursued it, that would be really sad, because the likelihood is that you connect to me in that way somehow. Like, you see a part of yourself in me through that character trait. And that's what makes our community really thriving and interconnected and interesting. And why we're all attracted to one another, because there's this idea of, using yoga to have a really successful life, which is something people who are a little bit more type A overachievers are interested in, right? So hopefully that resonates with you in some way. Or it doesn't, and maybe you're connecting with something else that I'm doing or saying. And if, nothing does, then, like, what are you doing listening to this podcast? Like, get out of our community and find a teacher who, you do feel that way about. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, that, I don't like to use the word excuse, but that concern is like, just nothing you should be worried about, because where you are in the present moment is perfect, and B, it's actually your strength, because it's going to really enable you to help people and to help yourself. So, yoga teacher training isn't right for everyone. It's not like everyone should just do yoga teacher training. It really should be called like yoga deepen your practice training. But for whatever reason, the way that yoga industry has grown up in America is that there's no such thing as a yoga deepen your practice training. It's just like, you're a student or you're a teacher. There's nothing in between. There's no such thing as like a advanced yogi who's like not a teacher. It's like semantics, right? It's just the way that, again, the industry has grown up in America, that teacher training is the next step if you want to take your practice deeper. And then I think if I offered like a deepen your practice, super huge, amazing course, like the teacher training, people would be like, well, do I get certified at the end? Like, can I teach? So it's all just combined into one, right? But you don't have to teach when you finish yoga teacher training. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have confidence that you're a good teacher. I still don't have the confidence on some days that I'm a good teacher, right? Like I talked about on the Uplifted live call, and you guys who were there and are in Uplifted will know, like, I make judgment calls all the time about how I present my content, how I leave stuff in and out on YouTube, sort of sacrifices and decisions I make to try to make yoga more accessible to people, even if, traditionally, according to special yogic texts, what I'm doing would be considered very wrong, right? Like, we're all in this together and doing the best we can. So the most important thing to do is just find a teacher, find someone who really resonates with you, and that's what I did when I did my training, and get as close to that person as possible, and hopefully leverage that experience to create your own unique voice, because it's what's unique about you that is going to make you a great teacher and what the world really needs, right? We don't need more like carbon cookie cutters of me or anyone else. We need you who's listening, right? We need what's unique about you to shine through so you can connect with your tribe and help people. So that's all I'm going to say on this podcast. If you're still listening, this podcast was kind of quick, casual, not filmed not recorded in my studio, as you can probably tell. So sorry for any background noise. But I know a lot of you listen to the podcast on SoundCloud and YouTube, which is totally awesome. But I would really love it if you'd make sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and leave a review. So I will be doing shout outs in upcoming podcasts to people who leave a review on iTunes. It's very convoluted and kind of tricky to do, but it is possible, and I'll put a link on how to do it at the bottom of this podcast. Make sure to copy paste your review before hitting submit, because a lot of times Apple will be like, your username is wrong, and it deleted the whole thing you just wrote. So always highlight, copy paste, or copy paste on your computer before hitting submit on any form. I actually do that as a general rule in my life, but especially when writing podcast reviews for me or anyone else, because I've written a lot of podcast reviews for friends of mine. You always want to copy paste that review before hitting submit, just in case Apple gives you grief or says you need to change your username or says you're not logged in. Otherwise, you're going to lose the whole thing you wrote. So that's a little pro tip. But I'd really appreciate a review on iTunes. Like, you can't really review stuff on SoundCloud. And, YouTube's great, but it's not the main forum for podcasts. It's really iTunes. So any just quick 5 stars or sentence or multiple sentences that you want to leave if you've been listening to this podcast since its inception would really, really mean a lot to me. Okay, so much love, you guys, and I will talk to you next time. Stay uplifted. I love you guys. Bye.
This episode was brought to you by Uplifted, Try Brett's membership community for people who want to enrich their life through yoga for free at brettlarkin.com/uplifted. Yoga obsessed? Join Brett for yoga teacher training at brettlarkin.com/train. And don't forget to give back. Like this podcast, leave a rating or review. Share this with someone you love.
Remember, now is the time to dedicate yourself to what matters most. Our yoga together can ignite your destiny. Until next time, this is Brett Larkin. Always come to your mat. Always be stretching your body, your mind, your soul. From my heart to yours, namaste.